I think UFC 302 was a decent card, man. I think people expected it to live up to more of a hype than what it did, mainly because of the main event and the co-main event. Everything. I mean, Kevin Holland was on the card, so everybody likes to watch Kevin Holland. It's always like an enjoyable fight because he just likes to throw down. But an unexpected event took place when he fought. But overall, I mean, I think the card was okay. It, it was kind of boring. For the most part, in my opinion, until the main event. The main event was the most exciting fight, but that's expected. I mean, it's the main event. They're main events for a reason. But this was also a fight that a lot of people wanted Dustin to win, and really thought Dustin could do it, except for Vegas, because if you saw his odds, oh my God, it was not close. But overall, it was cool. First two fights are boring. Kevin Holland fight. It could have been exciting. Unfortunate event happened. A little controversial call. I guess you could say. Just kind of depends on who you ask and who you are. He didn't tap, so I don't know like the ruling or how you're supposed to do it. To me, the fighter didn't tap. He went to go grab his hand, and then they called it. And if you see something broken, I don't know if you're necessarily supposed to call the fight or not, but I don't think he tapped, and he just called it because his arm was broken, split in half. Either way, I think Kevin Holland would have won that fight. But it was strange to see Kevin Holland get a submission. Not that he's a stranger to submitting people, but y'all know that's not how he likes to get down. He likes to throw down, and obviously, if he has to do it, he's gonna do it, and he did. The guy rocked him one good time, put him on his back, and Kevin Holland just went for an armbar, and that was all she wrote. And yeah, we'll see if he stays at that weight. I think that's a good weight for him. But we'll find out. But co-main event: Sean Strickland, Paulo Costa. Boring fight. Very, very boring fight. I didn't like it one bit. It was very boring. I thought the same thing that Sean thought, that it was going to be more of a war, and I thought Costa was going to go and trade with him, but he didn't. And I don't know why he didn't trade with him, sorry. Um, because in the past, that's what we've seen from Costa. This fight looked like a different one that was like kind of fighting defensively, waiting for something rather than like creating his own opportunity. He also put out something saying that he is like basically screw the points. I don't want to fight like that anymore. I'm going back to the old ways and just hunting people down and trying to knock their heads off. Essentially, is what he said. Um, but yeah, it was a boring fight. I'm not a big fan of Sean Strickland as a fighter. Outside of I could care less the outside antics, but as a fighter, I don't like the way he like fights. I think he's a very boring fighter. He's a jab merchant. It's jab like high knee, walk forward, jab, throw kicks, jab, jab. Like he's not an exciting fighter, and I think people like him because of his outside antics, and I think that's why people kind of um make him seem he's better than what he actually is. At least to me, I just don't think that he is like an exciting fighter. Not that he's not that good of a fighter, but he doesn't have that. He's a boxer or a kickboxer. Like he doesn't have any like flair or funk to him. It's like it's jab, 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 jab. That's it. But he does manage to win his fights, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. If you can win your fights, that's all that matters. Um, and he went out there and he did that. So I mean, hats off to him. He wants to fight for the title next, which I can't disagree with him saying that he should get a title fight here and he beat Izzy like it's his turn. But at the end of the day, I think people want to see Izzy versus DDP because that's been a fight that's been talked about since Izzy, well, kind of since DDP kind of like got into the UFC and started making headways and won that fight. And then we all know the infamous Octagon interview. And ever really since that Octagon interview is when people really wanted to see Izzy versus DDP. Now, what's going to happen? I don't know. like who's gonna really make the call. Like I don't know if it's like DDP saying like, "Oh, I want to fight Izzy," or "Oh, I want to fight Sean again." He is the champion, so I kind of feel like he gets to pick and choose who he does want to fight. What I would like to see is obviously Izzy, the DDP versus Izzy fight, and I think that's more of what the fans want to see. Obviously, Sean Strickland's a fight that people do want to see, and I don't think that it's good to happen right now. In my opinion, I do think DDP does beat Izzy, but I don't know if DDP will beat Sean Strickland again. Is where does that sound? Or if you can like kind of get what I'm saying. But I think that's the fight that needs to happen is DDP Izzy, and then Strickland belt fight whoever that is. And it could be Izzy, and I know Izzy doesn't want that rematch, or it could be DDP and he wants to rematch DDP. So either way, it works out no matter what. Any fight that you put, it works out because it's either Sean versus DDP in a rematch fight, or it's DDP versus Izzy, which I think people want to see. But yeah, so either way, it's gonna work out. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's exciting. We'll see what they do with that card at hand. It's that's the good thing. Like it's good when UFC is like that because it's exciting and you have multiple fights to make, and that's what you want. You want multiple fights to make so you're not running out of like. Not saying that they are running out because they have a ton of talent in the UFC from each roster top to bottom, but it makes your job that much more fun and more difficult when you get to like see, all right, what's the best fight that I can put on that the fans do want to see. But yeah, Sean Strickland won. Boring fight in my opinion. Wasn't fun to watch. Uh, the judges, the judge this weekend, one of them was off that papanya, and yeah, he got to get out of there because some of those scorecards this weekend, I was like, huh. But even they showed the Izzy one. I mean, the Islam one afterwards, and I was like, huh. But Sean Strickland, I think he won unanimous. I don't think it was like close or a split decision. But yeah, on to the main event. So this was a fight that leading up to it, when it got announced, I'm like, oh, Islam got this in the bag. But the more and more and more and more and more it got closer to the actual fight day, I was thinking, oh man, I think Dustin's gonna win. And I love both. I've said in the past, if you watch some more stuff with Double Knockout with Albert and I love both fighters. Dustin was my favorite fighter. Islam grew a lot on me. You just can't go wrong with either or. I like them so much because they're very respectable and they're very humble, and that's what I like. I like people who are respectable and humble. In my personal opinion, the ones who tend to talk the most shit are the ones that don't stay like champions or long or don't really get the title. Um, I mean, right now, I guess Sean O'Malley has the title, but he has a big fight coming up with Marab. So we'll see how that goes. That's another story within itself. But they're humble and they respect their fighters. They respect the guys that are inside the octagon with them, and they don't really like they'll talk trash to them like to like build the fight up, but like it's not like going full force talking trash. It's like, oh buddy, I'm gonna beat you. Don't tap. I'm gonna make you go to sleep and like stuff like that. And they're able to back it up. That's the other thing. They're able to back it up. I mean, that's why we ever like people love when people talk shit to each other, but Charles doesn't talk shit to each other. That's why everybody loves Charles. Just because Charles was that guy that was very humble, very respectable, and still exciting to watch. And that's kind of how these two are. Like they're very respectable, very humble, and they go out there and they put on good fights and they're fun to watch. But as I was saying, I thought Dustin was gonna win the closer the fight got. And I was like, oh man, like I don't want Islam to lose. Islam's my guy, but I was like, man, I don't really care if Dustin wins just because I like Dustin a lot as well. I was like, I'm just happy to see the fight. So I thought about putting some money on it because, like I said, the odds were so split. But I was like, no, whatever. But First round, man. I mean, they got to action. Islam hit Dustin with the nice shot. It kind of wobbled him a bit, stunned him. I don't think people were really expecting Islam to square up with Dustin like that. And if you watch like Islam's fights, you know that he can stand with people and he does have knockout power. But anybody else, I think Islam does knock them out with some of the shots that he was throwing. Dustin is just one of the hardest dudes to knock out. Like that's just how it is. That he's a warrior. He has a solid chin. He could take punches. He's been in dogfights throughout his whole career. Like it's very, very, very hard for you to knock him out. So he stunned him and he took his back. Took him down, took his back, and like everybody was like, "Oh man, this fight's over." But Dustin put on a great, great, great defensive fight on the ground. I don't think anybody was expecting that. That's why the odds were so shifted the way they were, was because everybody thought Islam was just gonna go on the ground and just dominate and dominate and dominate like he has in the past. But I think we're kind of gonna have to realize that he's not Khabib. Khabib's really the only one who was really able to dominate on the ground, and there's nothing wrong with that. Khabib was just a different animal on the ground. Like Khabib can just maul people, take them down at will whenever he wanted, and that was Khabib's specialty. I think Islam's a better fighter than Khabib because he's more of a well-rounded fighter. He can stand up with you. He could take it to the ground. He's good in the clinch. He's able to he's able to put the fight wherever he wants it. Khabib, the only spot he could take it, which was comfortable, was on the ground because Khabib wasn't really a striker like that. But Khabib did have like power to put people out, but he was just more comfortable on the ground. Um, but yeah, Dustin he was phenomenal on the ground, had great defense, and he survived this first round. And I'm like, oh, okay, like let's go. And then the second round comes. They start tagging each other a little bit, tagging each other, tagging each other. And it's like, okay, this is a fight. Islam couldn't get him back down. He got him down again. Like it was just a scrap. It was a scrap, scrap, scrap the whole fight. And I think that surprised a lot of people, and I think that kind of surprised Islam's corner and Islam a little bit. But that's where champions are made. If you're a champion, you're gonna adapt to whatever the fight is, and if you can't adapt, then you're just gonna lose. That's just how it is. And he adapted. He understood that regular takedowns weren't working. The other thing is like Dustin isn't like a bum when it comes to grappling. Like he's a great grappler. He has great defense. He's very strong, and he's able to deny a lot of stuff because he is so strong. That's the thing is he fights the hands very well because he's strong. He's able to stop takedowns because he has good takedown defense. But he's able to like when he was on the on the cage, he was like holding his hips in position to where like Islam couldn't take him down because he just couldn't. He wasn't strong enough. Um, but we get to the fourth, and they're going, going, going. Islam gets grabs his leg, and he's been grabbing his legs all night, and he just like swings it from underneath him. It was the first time I've seen it. I've never seen it before. Apparently, it's a move. DC, I forgot what DC said it was, but he swings it from underneath him. Basically, it causes Dustin to like kind of go with it, but like get his like momentum to like where it would like trip him, and then he tripped him, and then he just got the darce, and it was just too much from there. But that's like just the elite grappling level of the Dagestan boys. Is if they know that they can't get a regular takedown, they're gonna go to a more advanced takedown and get you down from there. I mean, and that's just how it is. Like you just have to tip your hat to it. And Islam retains the title. Him and Armand, I think should be the next fight. I don't know. People don't really know Armand enough to be like, oh, that's a fight I want to see. But I think that's the fight to book. Um, It'll be an interesting one. Islam's already beat him once. Armand wants that rematch. They've kind of already been talking. I don't think Islam should move up in weight yet. I think he's just kind of staging where he's at. If he beats Armand, then that's where like, okay, I really did beat everybody in the division because I think the Armand right now is a completely different Armand than when they first fought. But obviously, when the fight happens, we see the results. That's a whole different ball game. But Islam won, retains the title. I think he's gonna have the title for a while. I think him and Armand will be a really good fight. I think that's going to be more of a tactical fight. I don't think it's going to be more. It'll have fireworks, but like Armand is very good on the ground, and he is very, very, very strong as well. And I don't think Islam's going to kind of be able to like submit him, but he does have that. Armand does have that knockout power to where he can knock out Islam, but we just saw Islam go toe to toe and outstrike and outperform Dustin Poirier, who was one of the best strikers in the UFC history. So we will see how that fight will be. I think this fight helped Islam a lot because I think Islam grew a lot from this fight. But yeah, let me know your comments down below what you thought about 303. I mean, sorry, 302. I'm getting ahead of myself. 303 is around the corner. But let me know. I thought it was great. Main event, all the other fights were kind of to me, but it's just the way the cards are dealt sometimes, man. Sometimes you have really exciting cards top to bottom. Sometimes they're okay. Sometimes there's that sucked. But let me know what you think. Let me know if you think Dustin should retire or not. That's a good one. I don't think he should, but I'm weird because I don't think that he should retire, but I think he should retire. He's been in the UFC a really, really, really long time, and all his fights have been dogfight fights, and just always having to put that pressure on your body all the time. It's just gotta be grueling. Like it's just gotta be not healthy. And he has a daughter, man. She's young, and he probably wants to be a family man and grow up with his daughter and do stuff in Louisiana and give back to the community. So that's why I say he should retire. But obviously, we've seen that he still has the ability to compete with anybody. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. That'll do it for my boy Los. We'll catch you next time.